I am Trenonce-Dela and I am your social media strategist. For this episode, I'm going to share with you 3 components of social media marketing. Okay, so you want to level up your business game in the digital world. You want to elevate your digital presence. Well, taking serious efforts for your social media marketing, you need to do more than just coming up of a content to post. Because the comprehensive social media marketing covers 3 components. 1 is monitoring, 2 is engagement, and 3, we have the conversion. Well, let's begin with the monitoring. Okay, so regardless of whether you participate in social media, people are going to talk about you using their social accounts. In some cases, users will just talk about how much they love your products or your services, which you can use to your advantage and build some social proof around your brand. And potential customers will have questions about your product or service, and you can address this and remove objections to purchasing. And oftentimes, users will have questions, complaints, support requests, or simply feedback. Replying to these in a timely manner will help you keep a high level of satisfaction with your product or service. All of these conversations will happen whether you're present or not. Unless you have a monitoring strategy in place, they will happen without you. So your goal with your social media monitoring is to address all the mentions of your brand or related terms in a way that people talking about your brand will listen to and cared for. To get started with monitoring, what do you need? So here's what you are going to need. 1, use available tools to track and consolidate mentions of your brand and related terms in social media. And this is known as social listening. Number 2, implement a process to classify mentions by type: praise, product queries, and support requests. The steps, so this is the steps to follow for each type. For example, share or amplify, direct to support page, forward to sales team. So those are the things that you need to get started with in your monitoring effort. So next, let's go to the next component of social media marketing, and that is engagement. They say social media engagement is the new social media marketing. This is the most straightforward use of social media, but also the one that most companies get wrong. You'll use social media channels to build an audience by sharing interesting and relevant content. This doesn't mean continually broadcasting how awesome your product or service is, and no one wants that, right? So social media engagement is deeply connected to your content marketing strategy. Instead of thinking like an advertiser just pushing your product or service, you need to think like a publisher or a media company. That means your engagement goal is to create and share content that people actually enjoy and wants to consume. And here's the thing. There is no one-size-fits-all formula for this, and you should ignore anyone claiming to have this cool trick or hack for creating engaging social media content. To figure out what works for your business, what do you need? This is what you're going to need. You need to, 1, understand who your target persona is. Number 2, you have to define the main role of each social media channel within your sales funnel. And number 3, you need to adapt your message to the social media channels you participate in. Alright, so to prepare for your engagement strategy, you need to work on your content marketing strategy. And that's what you need to do first. Alright, so let's go to the third component. And that is the last one, which is conversion. Alright, so this is what differentiates a social media influencer from a social media marketer. Having thousands or millions of followers on your accounts will not help your business unless you can get a portion of them to become your customers. Social media is great for building audiences, but it has a critical limitation for businesses. Even though you own a social media profile, your followers are still owned by the social channel. In fact, most social media channels are purposely built to keep users from leaving the platform. That's why you have to keep this in mind. 1, there's no easy way to move all your followers from one platform to another. Number 2, you have no contact information you can use to reach out to them directly. Number 3, your content's visibility is subject to the social channel's algorithms. And number 4, you have to compete for attention against every other connection each of your followers have. That's why your ultimate goal is to turn your social audience into website visitors, leads, and customers. You can convert social media audiences via direct or indirect conversions. What is direct conversions? Direct conversions are those that happen by directly asking your followers to perform an action that will turn them into leads or customers. Alright? And next, how about the indirect conversions? The indirect conversions, on the other hand, consists of simply getting your social audience to visit your website without necessarily asking them to purchase or submit contact information. Instead, you merely want them to visit so that they can become part of your remarketing audience, which will allow you to target them with ads later on. Okay, so that's it. Remember, conversion is not the only purpose of your social channel. And trying too hard to convert your social audience can be determined to your entire strategy. You need to balance this with monitoring and engagement. Otherwise, you'll come off as too salesy, and a lot of people online don't want that. Once you've developed a plan for each of the components of your social media strategy, it's time to pick the channels you'll use to implement. So, what are the channels that you can consider in implementing your social media strategy? So, recently, we have known that TikTok surpassed Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and YouTube in downloads last month. So you need to resist the feeling of the fear of missing out, and you are urged to create an account for your business. But the question is, are your target market hanging out in this channel? So new social channels appear all the time and gain millions of users overnight. And that doesn't mean it's a good idea to jump in. Instead, you need to be strategic about the selection of the social channels you'll participate in. These are the 3 simple criteria that you can use in considering what social media channels to select, to participate in. 1, is your target persona participating in this channel? This is pretty much self-explanatory. Make sure the people you want to reach are actually users with the social channel you're planning to participate. And number 2, what's the role you'll play in the channel? Are you going to use it for monitoring, engagement, or conversion? For example, Twitter users tend to expect companies to provide some level of support. Regardless of whether you plan on supporting people via Twitter or not, if your company plans on participating on Twitter, you need to include monitoring in your channel strategy. And number 3, what type of content are the users consuming and how are they consuming it? Do you have the skills and bandwidth to create this content? Each social channel has been designed around a keystone format. For example, Instagram is heavy on high-quality photography and video. If you decide to create an Instagram account, you usually can't just use stock images with text overlays. You will probably need to invest time and resources into producing professional-looking content. Moreover, different channels have different consumption behaviors, active versus passive. So, what are those active channels? These active channels are those in which the users have intent. They know what they want to see and actively search for it. This is usually the case for Pinterest and YouTube. For active channels, you can create content, optimize it for the channel's search engine, and get views and engagement for it over time. This means that you don't necessarily need to continuously publish new content. You might create it once and continue getting views, engagement, and conversions for years to come. However, this doesn't mean inactive channels are any easier. You'll need to invest a considerable amount of time in optimizing and getting your content to be at the top of these searches. How about the inactive channel? For the passive channel, I should say, on the other hand, these are those in which the users don't have a specific intent. They're just browsing. For example, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter are mostly inactive channels. To participate in inactive channels, you'll need to constantly push new content to people's feeds in order to continue getting views, engagement, and conversions. Creating content for passive channels requires you to always stay on top of the relevant conversations happening in the social channel and being able to keep a never-ending content calendar going. So there you have it. Thank you for joining me in today's episode and hope that you'll join me again next time. Bye-bye.